Okay, let's dive right in. You know, we talk about fake news all the time, but it often feels like this big abstract problem, right? So how does it actually feel day to day? How does it worm its way into our conversations, our families, our communities? Well, today, we're going to explore that by looking at a really fascinating short play by Tom Erb, which is, fittingly enough, called Fake News. We're going to see how a piece of drama can show us what all this misinformation actually does to people.
So, the play doesn't kick off with some big, complicated lecture. Nope. It starts with this line. It's Angela, a middle-aged woman just sitting at her laptop, totally frustrated. And that's the genius of it. It's a moment that immediately puts us in a familiar place. I mean, who hasn't felt that exact same way, just scrolling and thinking, seriously?
So how does the writer show this frustration in action? Well, he does something really clever. He gives us a series of 4 quick, totally separate conversations. And each one is like a little snapshot, showing us exactly how misinformation sneaks into all the different corners of our lives.
First up, we're back with Angela, but now her son, Jason, is there. She's talking about these rumors about the new vaccine she saw online. You can tell her concern is real, but her son's reaction? Just pure exhaustion. It is that classic generational fight over what's real and what's not online, a tense little moment that I'm sure is playing out in a lot of families.
Then the play switches gears, moving from family to friends. We meet Alicia, and she's super excited, showing her friend Megan this new supplement she found. And the key thing here is the source. It's not some random website. It's coming from a friend she trusts. This scene just perfectly shows how bad info spreads through our social circles, which makes it way more powerful.
And next, we're at the gym. Ella just casually drops this major conspiracy theory into the conversation. It's not even a big debate. It's just chatter. You know, something to talk about between sets. And it really shows how these huge, complicated theories can become totally normalized. Just another piece of gossip. And for the last one, we find ourselves at a dinner party. Jim mentioned some tweets he saw saying the election was rigged. This is where it all gets serious, where the personal stuff starts to bleed right into the political. It's not just about health anymore. Now it's about the foundation of democracy being questioned right there at the dinner table. So what happens next is what's really interesting. The play zooms out from these little scenes, and suddenly all the characters are in one room together. And boy, does the tone shift. All those separate little anxieties, they all merge into this one giant, polarized debate about the country itself. One of the characters, Tom, really nails this feeling of loss with this line. He's saying, look, politics has always been divisive way up at the top, but it never used to poison our everyday relationships. You can almost feel the nostalgia in his voice, you know? For a time when you could disagree with someone without hating them.
And this right here, this is the heart of the conflict. The play is basically saying we've gone from a time when we just accepted that people had different views, to now where another character, Jim, yells, "Everything is red or blue." This slide just captures that shift perfectly, from nuance to this stark two-sided battle.
Okay, so the big question becomes, where do you go from here? Once you all agree that there's this huge, painful divide, what's the next step? And that question just hangs in the air, and it pushes the characters and the whole play into its most intense part yet.
And this is where things just ignite. The characters stop talking about the problem and start fighting about the solution. It turns into this really heated debate about what they should do in a crisis that they all feel is getting worse by the minute.
The spark that lights the whole thing on fire is just one word. From Max. Mobilize. It's short, it's powerful, and it forces everyone in the room to pick a side. But what does mobilize even mean to these people?
Well, it turns out it means very, very different things. On one hand, you've got Max who's talking about a massive, peaceful walk on Washington, a classic protest. But then Megan just escalates things to a whole other level. She asks the men point blank if they're willing to learn how to use a gun and fight. And boom, the tension in the room just skyrockets.
Even the other characters are stunned. One of them actually says, then that would make us extremists. And the play really makes us wonder, right? Where is that line? At what point does being passionate about your beliefs cross over into extremism? And do they even realize how far they've gone?
Megan's answer to that is maybe the most chilling line in the whole play. If everyone is an extremist, she says, then there is no extremism. Wow. I mean, that's just a stunning way to justify a radical idea. It shows how a group can completely shift its own perspective to make something that sounds extreme feel, well, not just normal, but necessary.
So how does it all wrap up?
Does anyone win the argument? Well, the play doesn't give us any easy answers. Not at all. Instead of some neat resolution, the characters are just left hanging in this cloud of uncertainty. And then, they start to sing an old protest song from the 60s.
The song is For What It's Worth by Buffalo Springfield, and these first lyrics just set the tone perfectly. There are battle lines being drawn. Nobody's right if everybody's wrong. I mean, that's a perfect echo of that red versus blue world they were just shouting about.
And then the lyrics get right to the heart of that fear we saw at the very beginning of the play. The song goes on. Paranoia strikes deep. Into your life it will creep. This ties everything together. The vaccine rumors, the conspiracy theories, it's all about a deep-seated fear that has just seeped into every part of their lives.
And this last line they sing is so ominous, and it really shows you what the stakes feel like to them. Step out of line, the men come and take you away. It reveals this profound sense of danger that they're all feeling, like they're right on the edge of some kind of authoritarian crackdown.
And that's where the play leaves us. It doesn't end with an answer. It ends with the song's most famous, haunting question. It's a question the characters are asking themselves, and really, it's the question the play is asking us. After seeing all the misinformation, all the division, and the radicalization, what exactly is happening here?